So if you're one of the lucky ones who do not have to go through citizenship by investment or citizenship by naturalization process, but can actually get the second passport through your Polish ancestor, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hi everyone, I'm Irena from Nomad Capitalist, where we help people to go where they're treated best. So if you know that you have a Polish ancestor or that you have a Polish blood in you, then you should be able to get your Polish citizenship because it is probably passed down to you by birth. Generally, you must have at least a parent or a grandparent or a great-grandparent that was a Polish citizen and that has lived in Poland at least after 1920. The reason for this is that in the past, in Poland, there were a couple of regulations regarding citizenship, and dual citizenship was not always allowed. Only in 1920s, the first Citizenship Act was actually passed on. This means that in case that you had any relatives that were born in Poland and lived in Poland after 1920s, you are probably 99% eligible to claim your Polish citizenship as well. Let's talk about some of the benefits and why you should get it first, and then later I will mention how to check if you're eligible, some of the general rules, and how to actually apply. Some of the benefits of getting the Polish citizenship are similar to every other EU country. Poland is a part of the EU, which means that the number one benefit would be to, travel freely within the European Union and Schengen area, and to live anywhere in Europe and not only in Poland, to work anywhere in Europe but not only in Poland, to have business anywhere in European Union, including, again, Poland as well. Apart from these, there are other benefits as well, and that would be, for example, healthcare and schools or universities. As a Polish citizen, you or your children are not only entitled to actually join the university in Poland, but you can do that anywhere within the European Union. You also have some benefits, and it's not that expensive as it would be if you, for example, come from the US or Canada. Another benefit if you're a Polish citizen means that your family can get Polish citizenship with you as well. So not only your children, but your spouse can get it as well, and your future grandchildren or anything like that. Even if you do not apply through citizenship in marriage for your spouse, for example, if you go to Poland, your spouse will have pretty similar rights to anyone else in Poland. You can get her a spousal visa, and they can work in Poland, and they can live in Poland as long as they'd like. And not only Poland. If your wife, for example, gets the spousal visa, then your wife can as well travel freely within the European Union. Your children can also get residency based on your citizenship, if not citizenship immediately. Now, Poland currently has a bit of a longer processing times when it comes to, for example, spousal visas. The reason for this is that after the war in Ukraine, there are a lot of Ukrainians and Russians as well going to Poland seeking residency there. So the processing times are a bit slower, but your spouse, of course, can be in Poland for as long as they like. However, there are a bit restrictions on when they can get out of Poland because they cannot get out of Poland until they actually receive the residency card. Like I mentioned, with European Union passports, such as the Polish passport, you can work not only in Poland, but you can work anywhere within the European Union. And not only that, but you can also find, for example, work in Switzerland or Norway that are not part of the European Union. You can also seek job there, or you can incorporate the company there and doing business there. Now, let's touch base on some of the ground rules when it comes to the eligibility for Polish citizenship. The date of the birth of your Polish ancestor is not what is relevant, really. So it can be as long, they could have left actually Poland as long as in the 19th century. What is important is that if you have a Polish ancestor, but their child was, for example, born outside of Poland before 1920s, then you would not be able to get your Polish citizenship based on that ancestor. The reason for this is what I mentioned earlier, is that Citizenship Act was only made in January 1920. Another general rule is that before 1951, the acquisition of another citizenship would be resulted in the loss of your Polish one. Another general rule is that until January 1951, the whole family actually inherited the citizenship from the father or from the husband, meaning that if, for example, you had a woman ancestor that was before 1951, that was born in Poland, that they probably lost their Polish citizenship in case that they married a non-Polish citizen after that. The same stands in case that father was actually the one who lost the citizenship. That would automatically mean that the wife and their children as well lost citizenship alongside with the father. After 1951, of course, this was no longer the rule. So if you have any ancestor that was born in Poland after 1951 and that got married to a non-Polish citizen, you should be able to get your Polish citizenship based on that. Now, Polish territory was generally changed throughout the years, and especially during the World War II. So the territories of Poland changed constantly, but in case that you have any ancestor that was born in a territory that was at that time Poland, but was lost after, for example, the World War II, there is still a possibility that you can get your Polish citizenship. However, that would be a bit more complicated case and would probably need to go through court. If not through court, then you would probably need to prove that your ancestor was born there, that there was paying taxes there, and so on. It might be a bit difficult to prove that your ancestor paid taxes back, I don't know how many years ago, but unfortunately, if in case that this is the situation, you can either choose to go through court or to search for some old documents that would prove that your ancestor indeed had ties to Poland. Now that we went through some of the general rules about Polish citizenship, let's talk about what is actually important for your eligibility. In order to claim your eligibility for a Polish passport, you obviously need to have an ancestor who lived in Poland. That can again be either your parents, grandparents, your great-grandparents. It doesn't really matter as long as they were born in Poland. Again, probably after 1920s. What is important is that in the ancestry line that you have, there was no renunciation, especially voluntary renunciation. In case that there was a voluntary renunciation that happened, then you probably wouldn't be able to claim your Polish citizenship. In case that the citizenship got lost because of the dual citizenship restrictions, you may be able to reclaim it. However, that's really case-on-case basis. However, if your ancestor, for example, or if your grandfather was the one who lost the Polish citizenship because of the dual citizenship restrictions, they may be able to regain that, and then after your grandfather regained the Polish citizenship, you can be the one getting it as well. Now, I know that I mentioned that the dates are not important. However, what Poland wants to see as well is that they were actually born in Poland or outside of Poland after 1920, but that they had a parent that was before that born in Poland. But Poland is also looking at the place of residency at the time of your birth of your parents. One of the most important things along the way are documents. I will go a bit later on some of the basic ones that you would need to actually apply for Polish citizenship. But before you actually decide to go down this road, try to at least search within the family archives or anything like that for documents that can prove the connection between you and the ancestor. The longer the connection is, the harder it might be to find the documents. If your ancestor was born in Poland in 1925, it may be a bit complicated to find their birth certificate or their death certificate, marriage certificate, and other things. So try just looking a bit and see if it is at least possible for you to provide those documents. If you cannot provide the basic proof that your ancestor was born in Poland during that time, unfortunately, you won't be able to apply for Polish citizenship after that. So you see that Poland has a lot of possibilities, really. So they do have some general rules, but generally it's straightforward. You only need to have is the ancestor that was born in Poland. But there are some, again, historical facts, like how the territory of Poland changed throughout the years, what laws went into place in which year, and so on, that may be a factor to considering to determine whether you're eligible or not. In case that you're not 100% sure that you're eligible for your Polish citizenship or not, you can check our new feature on the website where you can simply input some of the basic details about you and your ancestor, and we'll just run a quick check on to see if you're eligible or not. Now, remember, this is not 100% sure. This is just based on the basic fact of who your ancestor is and approximately a year when they were born. If you would like to get the 100% confirmation, and if you'd like us to help you get your Polish citizenship, you can get in touch with our team and they will help you out. Now, let's talk about how to acquire Polish citizenship. I know this may sound ridiculous, but every document that you have, every document that you can find about that person who was born in Poland, about your ancestor, may be useful. Now, we had a number of cases when the client wouldn't know, for example, on the date of birth of their ancestor or the place of birth or anything like that. All they would have is just the name, and that's pretty much it. So, for example, we had one client who didn't know the date of birth of the ancestor or where the ancestor was born or anything like that. He just knew the name, and that's it. He knew where the ancestor was buried. And he sent us a picture of the grave, and we saw that, of course, there is a date of birth that is written on the grave. That date we use to locate the birth certificate and the place where the relevant ancestor was born, actually. So again, anything that you can find about that ancestor can be used. That can be as well in baptism certificate. That can be a proof that your ancestor was attending school in Poland. That can be the proof that your ancestor was attending university in Poland. So anything that would prove the connection to Poland. But again, without some core documents, it would be very hard to apply in case that you don't have it. So some of the basic documents that you would need to get is number one, and that's the most important one, is the birth certificate of that ancestor who was born in Poland. That's one of the core documents because that's the direct proof to your ancestor that was born there. This is why I mentioned that you need to make sure that not that you can find it, we will help you find it, but that you have some basic information, at least the name of the ancestor so that we can help you out. Apart from their birth certificate, you would also need their marriage certificate and, of course, the relevant ancestor's spouse birth certificate. Apart from that, in case that, for example, the relevant ancestor was great-grandmother, you would need great-grandmother's birth certificate, great-grandmother's marriage certificate, then grandmother's birth certificate, grandmother's marriage certificate, then your parents' birth certificate, your parents' marriage certificate, and then you. So you see, you need to prove every line along the way to that relevant ancestor in order for you to be eligible and in order for you to apply. In case that you cannot locate some birth certificate, that may be possible to not to do, but it all depends on the consulate, and it all depends whether they would accept that or not. Another very important document is that in case that your relevant ancestor naturalized in some other country and lost their Polish citizenship that way, you would need to get the naturalization document from the country where that person naturalized. That is the proof that that person naturalized in another country, got their citizenship, and automatically lost the Polish one. That usually means that all of the documents that you get that are not in Polish language would need to be translated into Polish, and in some cases, apostille is as well needed. So this process takes a while, and it will take you time to collect all of those documents. And only after you collected all of those documents, they would need to go to the consulate where you will actually apply. Once the consulate runs the checks through the documents, they will call you in and you will have the appointment to apply for your Polish citizenship. When it comes to the timeline, it's basically similar to every other citizenship by descent, and that would mean that it will take approximately 2 years after the submission for you to receive your passport. Similar to what I mentioned earlier, in case that you received your passport, your spouse can as well get your passport based on your passport. Of course, that would be citizenship by marriage, so she would need to spend some time in Poland for example, I believe that it's approximately on 2 years living in Poland, and then they would be granted Polish citizenship as well. Your children as well, because as I mentioned, for Poland, all you need to have is one ancestor that was from Poland in order for you to get their citizenship. When it comes to gathering documents, it would take you approximately 8 months to 12 months. Of course, that can be even shorter. It depends on naturalization document. That is the document that you usually wait for approximately a year or so. So this is why I mentioned that it usually takes approximately up to 12 months to get it. This is something that Nomad Capitalists actually do. So we do have a special CBD department who is running the eligibility checks for our clients, and as well helping them submit their application to the nearest consulate for the relevant citizenship by descent. In case that you're interested, in case that you checked our feature on the website and confirmed that you're eligible, get in touch with us and we'll help you to get your Polish citizenship.